Asante sana Asha, D-Lab organizers na data tamasha kwa ujumla. Unajua is it English or Kiswahili?
It's whatever. Kiswahili, Kiingereza, yeah.
They always say the hunters sometimes get to become the hunted. Sasa, being a journalist for far too long, and today you are asked to be a keynote speaker, then you become the hunted. So I don't know if I'm going to do justice to you guys, but I'll try. Let me start by asking, how many of you know something called gramophone? Oh, are you that old? Radio cassette? Hata unajua. Tape recorder? Okay. Let's park that for a moment. So our topic today is the role of data journalism in the digital economy. So if you look at that title or that topic, you get at least 4 keywords or concepts. One is journalism, the other one is data, the third one is data journalism, and you have digital economy. So I'll try and explain a little bit, not define them exactly, but I'll borrow from some of the known institutions which have defined these concepts. So journalism, in essence, you are talking about informing, educating, and entertaining. And of recent, we are coming to terms with the need to interpret the information we are getting. When you talk of data, Oxford defines it as facts and statistics collected together for reference or analysis. And if I learn quickly to digital economy, borrowing it from Deloitte, they say it's the economic activity that results from billions of everyday online connections among people, businesses, devices, data, and the processes. So that gives us some understanding of what is digital economy. Now, coming to data journalism, I want to take it this way. One, if I told you, or I wrote on the board 500, what does that represent? A figure of 500. Darasa mtapata sifuri wote. That's just data, isn't it? But when I say 500 kilometers, that becomes information. You put it to use, then you get knowledge. What is knowledge in this context? Knowledge then becomes, when I say 500 kilometers, is quite a distance. So can you walk 500 kilometers? Probably not. You can use other means of transport, isn't it? So the wisdom now comes that 500 kilometers is quite a distance. It's like from here to Dodoma. So for you to go to Dodoma, you can't walk, you can't use a bike, to take you a lot of time. So maybe you use a car, then you become wise. You have moved from having 500 a number, processing it to become information. It's 500 kilometers. put it to use, knowledge that this is quite a distance, and if I want to use this knowledge, then I have to use a certain way of transportation to get me there. So in practice, when you talk about data, it's about filtering that information. And when we used to have scarcity in information, our role as journalists normally was looking for information, gathering, hunting and gathering. But now, with the plenty of information, the question of processing becomes very, very important. And why do you need to process that information? You need to process that information to make sense and get some structure out of this data you are collecting. But also it enables you to present what matters, what is relevant to your customer or consumer or the people you are creating that data for. So in essence, this is a science. It's a science because whatever information will be processing, it is verifiable. You have to verify, and someone can go and make reference from that. So how does that connect now with the data journalism? I think it gives us an opportunity to start telling, if we have not started, telling stories in a different way. It talks about the role of the media in development. How do we set the agenda? How do we push for evidence-based reporting? How do we use data to reinforce accountability in the digital economy we are talking about, or in any other form of development? Also gives us an opportunity to fact check. With plenty of information, definitely with fake news and what have you, the role of the media now becomes also very important when it comes to verification and fact checking. And the other thing which comes from this opportunity we are seeing on that from data journalism is creating the future. In the past, for you to do a story, you have to go out, look for a source. But now you can stay in the office, bury yourself in that computer, and come up with a lot of information which you can process and do that story. Of course, you'll have to get some fresh quotes to make your story more palatable. So with a lot of information, the audiences, the consumers, now they are struggling with how do they prioritize things. So looking at policy formulation, for instance, do we have a way of looking at these policies if they are really talking to the needs of our society? Are they really solving the problems which are affecting our societies? To what extent these policies talk to the SDGs, Global Sustainable Development Goals? What's the role of the media in making sure that all these are actually put to better use in terms of priority of the policy formulation, but looking at the impact they ought to bring to our society? So the other aspect which I want to talk about on when talking about data journalism in relation to digital economy is the issue of timeliness. Speed is key, of course, and if speed is of essence, then accuracy is critical. So how do you navigate from such a situation of having to process so many information, so many data, and making sense out of it, and being able to save policymakers, save business community, civil society organization, everyone who is out there in that position of decision making, being at individual level, being at company level, organization level, or country level. For that to happen, then newsroom need to change to be able to do that quickly. So you're talking of the need for a newsroom not to rely solely on journalists alone. We need to have researchers in our newsroom. We need to have economists in our newsroom. We need to have data engineer in our newsroom. We need to have data analysts in our newsroom. We need to have business analysts, and the list goes on and on. So these ones, if they come together, they come with the expertise of their respective fields, and the journalists team up with these experts to now present that information in a more suitable way, which will make its consumption to be much easier. But the other way of doing it is through partnership and collaboration. Newsrooms, they can't have all the skills or the resources or the tools. So when you talk of partnership and collaboration, being Mwananchi Communication, we shouldn't be bragging like we are too big to partner with startups and what have you. But we need to look at what Nukta, for instance, bring the table, what Honor brings to the table, what Media Convergence brings to the table. And for us, we are open. We are actually going into collaboration with everyone we see, believe that they have expertise, they have knowledge which we don't have in our operation, and we go into partnership with them, and together we have that synergy which makes us going. The other way of using this is through technology now, to be able to process information quickly and be able to make meaning out of it and disseminate it timely. Then you are talking of adopting technology like machine learning, artificial intelligence, which will enable you to process huge data set quickly and make meaning out of it. But the third thing which we need to be doing is, for existing journalists, we need to evolve with the trend in the market. We need to learn. We learn and learn, we learn. It has to be a continuous process. Otherwise, if we don't evolve, touch on a trend. And these things, there's a lot of opportunities online. These are free opportunities for anyone who is interested to learn a thing or two. But also, it's the duty of the media houses to empower our journalists. And we at Mwananchi Communication, we take that very seriously. So while all this is happening, we know that citizen journalism is something we have to live with. And with that, people are asking, is the mainstream media dying? If I ask you, is the mainstream media dying with the coming up of citizen journalism? Everyone being able to post, to broadcast. Is the media dying? Is print media dying? It will eventually die. Is journalism going to die? Sounding no. Sounding no. Because people will still need information. So it's the question of how do you pack that information to be relevant to the audience you are serving. Print is the means of conveying that content. So journalism will be there. And let me take you back to that gramophone story of ours. Where is gramophone today? Radio cassettes? They are gone. Musicians? They are still there, right? So I borrowed this from my colleague in Naivasha, where I was attending another conference like this one, and they asked us that question. For journalists to sit there and say, we are going to die, I think you should be talking about you yourself that you will be dying, you yourself, if you don't evolve with time. There's a book called Who Moved My Cheese? And if you read that book, it tells a story of Porat who some went out of their way to look for fresh, new cheese, while the stock was still, it was still enough to take them for a number of days or months. But they explored the other opportunities. And if you read that story, it will tell you the story of the brave and the ones who wanasubiri mana idondoke kutoka mbinguni na haitadondoka. So journalism will not die. However, some journalists will. Asante sana.